wasn't easy. It's horrible. Oh my god. Yo, it's so hard. I don't want to lie. Yeah, it's very bad. It's horrible. Yo, how do I even discuss? So the gap between UL and UP is very wide. 'Cause we be on a tough love. Oh, we feeling so high. Don't be afraid of falling, 'cause you know we gon' fly.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Kinsani and I bring you a lot of faith, education, wisdom, and lifestyle content. In today's video, we are discussing navigating new spaces, specifically moving from the University of Limpopo to the University of Pretoria. And I'm discussing this topic with my guest today, who is Manoko Mashangoane. And I'm going to do a brief intro of her. And she is a candidate attorney and holds an LLB from the University of Limpopo. She's a master's student at the University of Pretoria in contract law. She is also an internal panelist for the Legal Shebeen at the University of Pretoria. My brief description of her is that she is fierce, loves water, coffee, and determined. She's also an IG influencer, so you can check her out on Instagram. Welcome, Sisi.
Hi.
Yeah, welcome. So I think we should just shoot away. Tell us a bit about yourself, where you were raised, how you ended up studying law, and why you chose to study in LIMS.
Hi everyone, it's actually Manoko Mashangoane.
Thanks for that.
Okay, I am from Limpopo, Polokwane, and a small place called Solomondale, Sabaying. Why did I study law at University of Limpopo? Because it was closer to home. I had to choose between University of Limpopo or University of Northwest, because those were the only institutions that took me for law. And TURF, University of Limpopo, I'm going to call it TURF. TURF is not far from home, and I was young. I was like 17, and yeah, my dad was worried that I'm young, and yeah, that's why I decided to go to UL.
And why law?
I chose to study law because I was inspired by my aunt, Mamrolo Soso, if you're watching this. Mamrolo Soso, she's popularly known as Advocate Madava. She is an acting judge at the Polokwane High Court.
Interesting.
Yeah, and she inspired me. So when I was in grade 12, I attended my winter school in Mbilwi High School in Venda. So I was staying at my aunt's house, and we used to share a table in the evenings when I was doing my homeworks, and she would work. And yeah, she's the one that inspired me. I liked how she dressed. I liked the cars that she drove. I like how smart she sounded when she's on the phone. I liked how she smelled. She smelled expensive. And how she was always busy. Okay. I like busy girls.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of your inspiration stems from you having a legal background in the family. So how would you describe your experience as a student at the University of Limpopo?
So where I stay in Swaying, Solomondale, it's like 15 minutes away from TURF, from the campus, 15 to 20 minutes max. So my experience at varsity at UL was very comfortable. More like, it was okay because it was still at home. Yes, I stayed at RES, but I had been to UL a couple of times, like many times actually. The church that we go to at home, we attended it at TURF, the same location as the campus. So nothing was new, same faces, same people, same things, same place. So it was okay. I just feel like I really deprived myself of the actual varsity, any little inconvenience, I call my dad to come pick me up, regardless of how late it is or how early. So it was comfortable. It was, another thing, University of Limpopo is in a rural area, and it is an underprivileged institution. So it was very comfortable. Like, I can relate to almost everyone.
Okay.
Almost everything, no pressure as well, except academics. But it was an okay place.
Okay. So I was asking that question specifically with the recent protests that are taking place at UL. And I'm just thinking of, because the students are raising serious concerns about funding and accommodation, etc. And I thought, what do you think are the injustices that need to be addressed at UL?
Actually, there is a lot of, I feel like UL has a lot of potential, and I don't want to say maybe there is a lot of, let me just say, I don't want to say there's a lack of proper leadership, but I want to say that it does have a lot of potential, but they could improve their admin and stuff. But like I said, it is an underprivileged university, and in the sense that even students that go there, most of them, a lot of them, majority of the students come from underprivileged backgrounds. And the protests, as much as like they don't have to be violent or whatever, they are valid, because I heard that now they're striking for off-camp allowance. I don't know if you know what off-camp allowance is.
No, I'm not certain. Yeah.
Okay, so off-camp allowance, right now I'm being a TEF student. So when you are an NSFAS beneficiary and you stay at risk, NSFAS pays for your rent directly to the school, because you stay in the school accommodation. And then there's students that stay out of camp and they are supposed to be given allowance or rent money. Yeah, so I heard that's what they are striking for now, and the landlords, usually the landlords will understand. Maybe they'll give you until March or April until like NSFAS pays out, because sometimes it takes time. But it's September today. I don't know if they've paid, but I know that the reason that they're striking now is because of off-camp allowance, which is valid. I mean, because if NSFAS does not pay for their rents, or if they don't give them the off-camp allowance, where are they supposed to stay? What are they? The landlords are also expecting income every month, and they haven't paid for months. So this is exactly what I mean when I say it is an underprivileged university, because literally all those kids that were students, all those students that were striking really need this money. They depend on it. So also, based on my experience at TERF, the strikes don't always start off as violent, right? It's unfortunate the campus or the school has to protect itself, so they always bring the security people and the police, and when they tend to be violent to students will reply accordingly,
So I resonated a lot with the question of leadership, because the university is just one of the structures or institutions reflecting what's happening in our countries, in our country specifically, and we see that how do we expect the leadership at universities to actually account to students and do what they're supposed to do if we are not getting basic necessities, especially if you're from disadvantaged backgrounds. We know that service delivery affects mostly disadvantaged people. So I think it's really heartbreaking to see that institutions that are meant to be leaders in the country, you you're sort of an institution that's meant to raise leaders, future attorneys, future doctors, future accountants, and your standard is meant to be, to a certain extent, very high, but we are not getting that, you know. So it's really upsetting to see that. I think we are going to move from that, and I just wanted to say, so after UL, right, you started your articles.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I wanted to find out, do you think that when you are searching for articles, the fact that you came from UL affected the selection criteria from other firms? Do they actually look at that, or is it just something we speak about but doesn't necessarily apply?
So I got my articles. I was offered articles in March 2020. That was when I was doing my final level, because because I was doing my VEC work there. So I started my VEC work in that firm in 2019, June 2019. Then I went back in December, and then I went back in March. Well, the boss specifically called me to come back in March, and that's when he offered me articles. And I don't think I was affected because he is also from UL. You know, he came from UL, but it was University of the North when he was there. So this is what happened. In 2019, I started my VEC work in June, and then I went back in December 2019. And then 2020, he called me to the office, and then I also worked just before lockdown. And then lockdown, level 5, we were at home, and then level 4. While at UL, they were still busy trying to figure out online learning. Level 4, I went back to work.
Okay.
So I worked from May, June, July, and August up until they called us back to campus. So I was at work. I was literally a candidate attorney. I had my own files. I had matters going to court. I just didn't have the right of appearance. And then October, recess, spring recess at school. I had to come back because now I was needed at the office. And then November, December, I was busy during December because the academic year was extended due to COVID. So December I was busy writing exams up to January. And then I moved to Pretoria, that is where my firm is, in late January, and I started my articles officially on the 1st of February.
Okay.
Like registered wise. So, of course, I think I had spent enough time at the firm thinking that I'm ready to be exposed to more now, you know, because I had files, I had worked in different matters, and I wanted to be exposed. And I wasn't really officially registered on the 1st of February because I was actually waiting for my results.
Okay.
Yeah, I registered late February because I was waiting for my results and then get confirmation letters, go to the LPC and stuff. It was during that period when I was applying for articles in other firms.
Okay.
So I sent plus minus 40 to 45 applications within that period. And I was under pressure because I'm like, firms are hiring now. Like it's about the time. And I think I got a response from 2 or 3. Just remember one that says, we have received your application and this is just a confirmation that you have been added to our database or whatever. And that's when I also started asking myself, why are they not calling me? I have experience. You know, if these people knew that I'm actually a candidate attorney without the title, they would take me, you know. I have experience and stuff. So that's also when I started thinking, oh, maybe it's because of where I went to school. Yeah.
Okay. I just think there is that debate about people coming from historically disadvantaged universities being sort of sidelined when it comes to certain firms. So I thought maybe it could have also affected you in some form of way when it came to your application, and I wanted to know your experience with regards to that. But during your articles, you also started your PLT.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want to know some few things about your experience with PLT. And the one thing is, why did you do it? Why did you do the 6 months PLT program?
Okay, so, PLT, for those that don't know, it is short for Practical Legal Training, which is we also known as law school.
Yes.
It is a short course that you take after you graduate from your LLB. And you know, when they say after your LLB you're going to law school, they refer to PLT. So it's a 6 months course, which it's not that different from LLB. It's just basically like a summary of LLB with a little bit of practical inside. You know, you do casework, child advocacy, and like stuff. You dress formal and everything. So why did I do PLT? Because I wanted to serve my articles for 1 year.
Okay.
I am a second-year candidate attorney, by the way.
So so I understand. If you do your PLT for 6 months, that means you can serve articles for 1 year instead of 2, right?
Yes.
And how is it that you are serving another year if you've done your PLT?
I haven't passed all my board exams, or I haven't failed them either. I'm waiting for results for board exams. So this is how it works, ne?
Yeah.
If you after LLB you go straight to school, like you go to PLT, then you have the choice of when you about to serve your articles, they can give you the 1 year contract.
Okay.
So because I didn't have PLT at the time I registered my articles,
okay.
I signed the 2 year contract. Yeah, but I also wanted to open that option for you know, if I pass my PLT and I served articles for 1 year, I can apply for condonation when I apply for my admission, provided that you pass your board exams, all 4 of them.
Yes.
So unfortunately I took 2 in March. I only wrote 2, and I only wrote 2 now in August. So we're waiting for results.
All right. I hope they go well. Hey, I hope it goes
so
well.
Too,
it's so that process is frustrating. And I'm going to ask this question because, again, there's a lot of frustrating things that happen when you're doing your articles and you're trying to be an attorney. Would you recommend graduates to immediately go for PLT after varsity? And specifically with the costs that are involved there, because it's quite pricey. And just, what would you recommend that?
So you only need to go to PLT if you want to be an attorney, right? Would I recommend PLT? Okay, so you know when you're a graduate, in this country with a lot of unemployment, your option, you don't really have options. So you really have to deal with what you have, right? So if you are done with your LLB and you have an offer for articles, then go for articles because they're very hard to find. Then you'll do your PLT during your articles, or after, or the 5-week PLT that you do after your articles, if you have that choice. But if not, and there's other internships, like maybe you don't have the choice of articles, maybe there's like internships and PLT, you have to choose. I'll just say go where the money is.
Okay. And then so you did your articles, your PLT, and now you're also an LLM student at UP.
Yes, ma'am.
That's amazing. In the worst course in history, contract law. Guys, contract law is amazing only to a certain extent. At school, not at work, not in practice. But okay. How has your experience been? Because now you've moved from UL previously in your undergrad, and you're moving to now the University of Pretoria in your postgrad. How have you found the process to be for you?
It was horrible.
Sure.
It wasn't easy. It's horrible. Oh my God. It's so hard. I don't want to lie. It's very bad. It's horrible. How do I even discuss? So the gap between UL and UP, is very wide. They are so different, you know, starting with the faculty, the resources, the lecturers, the library, the facilities, everything there is just fancy. The students as well. So I found it to be very hard because everything there is just different, and I worry about myself. I mean, I'd worry about myself, and then I'd worry about my little sisters. I'm like, if I'm struggling like this with transitioning, if I'm struggling like this, maybe with fitting in and transitioning to varsity at my big age, I wonder how she's dealing with this at home, at UL, because she's in UL now. But I'm like, I was okay at UL, so she's pretty okay. So I worry about myself. I mean, at your big age, at my big age of 23, I shouldn't be bothered by the pressures, because I know what I'm there to do. I'm old. I know what I'm there to do. I shouldn't be worried about the pressure at school or worried about 1, 2, 3, whatever. But trust me, it does get to you. So the transition has been very horrible. This first semester I saw flames. Hey, yeah, I really saw flames. They
academically?
No, not academically.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know, I wanted to join societies as well. In societies, oh my God, I don't know. Hey, you know, I'd also be so intimidated by the students there. The undergrad students there are so, they're so confident. They're so smart, you know. And I am just, you know, it was a lot. So I didn't do, you know, in final level. I don't know if you did that. So at school we had academic research in final level, where you do your dissertation, meaning I didn't do that. Was an elective. I chose the easier research because the aim was to graduate.
Yes.
So I don't have research background properly. So when I got to UP, I had to learn. I didn't know what Google Scholar is.
Sure.
I didn't know how to reference. Apparently
Intense.
It's different. I was 23 years old when I learned that there's different referencing styles.
Serious?
Yep.
Sure.
It was and then, you know, this thing of typing every weekend we have to start. You don't just wake up and open your laptop. You have to read as well, and that's not my brand.
Yeah.
You know, this thing of reading every day is not my brand. So I had to learn the hard way as well. Then I had to, you know, but they also have facilities and resources to help you. So they have a law library. In the law library, there's a department. There's information specialists, people that. There's for public law, there's for private law, there's for I go for private law because law of contract falls under private law, and then they take you through everything.
Okay.
So I have to consult a few times with that man, and he was so helpful. I'm gonna write you on my dissertation on the acknowledgements part. He was so helpful. He took me from.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's kind of intense.
It's really
kind
bad.
of intense
And
because
then it started affecting my confidence. I couldn't talk in class. Okay, so the confidence thing got so bad that even after class, I didn't have the confidence now to even approach the lecturer in private and actually ask questions, because we're like, where did you do your undergrad? How do you not know this? And even though I think there were valid questions, and then it was really bad.
Sure. No,
it was.
That's really intense. Hey, I'm thinking of things like referencing. You know, that's like one of the first few things you learn at varsity. You know, how to use databases, where to find case law, where to find articles. You know, Google Scholar, whatever. You know, so I think it does affect a lot of your self-esteem, and it brings a lot of self-doubt. And there's a word that everyone uses, imposter syndrome or whatever.
Yes.
But I wanted to find out from you, when did you realize, if you have realized, that you actually are deserving to be within UP, to be within that space?
I realized when I got my first semester results.
Okay.
It was like a confirmation from God that, yep, you're in the right direction. And recently, after the second Shebeen, so Legal Shebeen is a society, where like students host other students. we as the Legal Shebeen host other students for discussions and stuff. So I was on the panel this other time, and we had collaborated with the other society full of postgrads. Yeah. And actually, those were my peers. Those are actually my peers.
Yes.
You know? And then I happened to be on the panel, and, you know, those students were grilling me with like questions, and I fought. You know, one thing about me, I'll fight.
Sure.
You know? And I answered really well. And I don't think the problem was the fact that there was fighting or everything. I had prepared. I think the problem was the confidence, and not that I don't have confidence to talk or to speak. I think I always doubt myself when I have to debate with like the students that went to UP, because maybe I thought they know better, which they do. You know, I won't lie, UP is a very privileged thing. Like, UP students are very privileged, and I hope they know that.
Sure.
Yeah, like, I hope they know that. If you want to study law, please study at UP. Yeah, I'm serious.
Okay.
So the Shebeen as well was like a pat in the back that, you got this, because I nailed it.
Okay. So do you think you've overcome self-doubt? And if you have, how did you overcome it?
I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I don't think you overcome self-doubt.
There's just moments where you are reminded that you are actually capable, and then something takes you back to a circumstance where you feel like, actually, maybe I'm not.
Every single Sunday when we have to submit with the program that I'm doing, Law of Contract, how it's conducted is they are kind of preparing you they're preparing you for a dissertation. So we have to submit a number of words every weekend, every Sunday we have to submit. So I think last week I had to submit 1.5 or 2,000.
Sure.
This week we're not submitting because I think it's a recess, and then next week it's 2.5 to 3,000.
Sure. Okay.
Every single Sunday.
Sure.
When I open my laptop and I have to write, and every single Sunday I am reminded that I don't know what I'm doing.
You do. You actually do. I believe you do, and that's the thing about learning, is that nobody knows what they're doing. And it's actually funny that when we get into spaces, we think, I don't belong. And everybody else feels the same way. Everybody else actually feels the same way. So I'm just a word of encouragement that you can do it, and you're smart enough, and you belong in those spaces as well. They're not for specific people. They're for everyone, In conclusion, one final question is, actually, this is not the final question. It's the second last question. Is I want you to leave something encouraging for students that are at UL, who one day want to navigate similar spaces, want to go and do their LLM at universities that we don't think are historically disadvantaged. What would you say to them?
Let me tell you this. University of Limpopo might be okay, maybe University of Limpopo and other institutions that are regarded as less privileged. Yeah, I think maybe because they don't have fancy resources and systems and whatever, but it is a good institution. I am a lawyer today because I'm a product of University of Limpopo. I'm doing my master's because I'm a product of University of Limpopo, and I think their law curriculum is amazing. And I think I'm at UP for a reason. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. So how do you navigate yourself into these spaces? So this is my coping mechanism. I usually follow or draw inspiration from people that come from people I can relate to, and I'm like, if she can do it, I can do it. If he can do it, I can do it. Someone black, someone female, someone who is from UL specifically, and someone who you look at them and like, I want to be like that. So if it is possible for that person to be in this place, then it's possible for me as well. And they probably passed the stage of imposter syndrome and the feeling of not belonging. So another thing, it's not bad every day, you know. Sometimes you must just remind yourself that you are that girl, because you really are. I mean, you won't believe it every day, but you really are, and you can do it, and you belong.
So finally, what are your aspirations for yourself and for the legal profession?
For myself?
Yes.
Okay, let's start with me. Okay, aspirations for myself. I would like to have a book, write a book in the near future. I was just telling you in the car how my life is so dramatic and it deserves a reality TV show. And I'd like to become a family advocate one day.
Awesome.
I would also like to own a shoe line very soon as a sized one. Professional that is struggling to find heels because their foot is so small. I would like to open a shoe line one day. And a lot that I probably can't share now. But for the profession, I've always wanted to end up in the Big Five. And I think it's possible. But do I still want to practice? Find out after admission.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Interesting. You want to be in the Big Five. You want to be a family advocate. And you can do all of that. Actually, it's possible. I believe it. You can navigate all of those spaces. And so, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. We discussed a lot about. We discussed PLT, we've discussed navigating new spaces such as moving from the University of Limps to the University of Pretoria. We've also looked at maybe gaining your self-confidence and also just the situation at the University of Limpopo and how we require more leadership or people to actually step up and lead properly. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share, recommend, do the most. Goodbye.